Hi, my name is Mary Kate Saliba, and I am the president and co-founder of the Guam Human Rights Initiative. The Guam Human Rights Initiative, also lovingly known as GRI, was started in 2022. We started this organization after we realized that there was limited research, scholarly research on Guam and Micronesia, and even more so in the region regarding human rights issues. So, really wanted to take this opportunity to create an organization, a platform where we can empower the next generation of scholars, but also collaborate with other academics around the world to talk about human rights issues in hopes of raising awareness, but also potentially impacting policy change. We are also proud graduates of the University of Guam. We attended as undergrads and graduate level students, and our co-founder, Dr. Erica Anderson, recently finished her PhD. I am also in a doctoral program as well. And we wanted to utilize our skills in academic research to be able to advance the awareness of these issues impacting Guam and the region. In addition, we also love what we do because it gives us a chance to really engage with the grassroots level with other organizations and other community members and just simply people around island who want to get involved and who want to help. We've engaged universities, but as well as just students, the next generation, our youth, who are really passionate about different human rights issues impacting the region, and they want their voice heard. And we find that being able to do that through research and through our platforms is one way that they're able to do that. Mentorship is also really important to us, and we've had the privilege of being able to mentor a few graduate level students with regards to the human rights issues that they care about. And so we look as we move forward to be able to continue sharing research, sharing facts, sharing data regarding human rights issues such as human trafficking, which we successfully hosted a conference in 2022, well attended by different stakeholders and local organizations to raise awareness about human trafficking, but really getting much needed stakeholders in the same room together to really talk about these issues that matter and talking about a way forward collectively, collaboratively, and being able to get it down because on paper, that is something that we can have published and something that others can use and potentially the tools and resources that other institutions or even other organizations around the world maybe they could see what we are doing or like vice versa and we're able to collaborate and get that sense of community and collaboration to address such issues as combating human trafficking. There is limited research with regards to some of these human rights issues, and some of that may simply be because people don't know that Guam exists, or they may not know much about Guam. I've come across even other Americans in the United States, in the US mainland, who have never heard of Guam or can't point it out on a map. So I think there's also an opportunity here to not just raise awareness about human rights issues through research, but really also promoting Guam and just talking about this beautiful island, beautiful people, and our culture. And as I mentioned, our team, we are daughters of Guam. And so it is our honor and privilege to be able to establish the Guam Human Rights Initiative for future research.
I'm Erica Anderson. Alongside Mary Kate Saliva, I am the co founder of the Guam Human Rights Initiative. Mary Kate and I decided to start GHRI about a year and a half ago, I believe. We were both doing PhD programs and realized that there wasn't nearly the data that we would expect to be able to find about such a strategically important place as Guam. We looked through our university libraries and simply couldn't find the research through academia, through national media, international media, anything like that. We couldn't find the statistics that we were looking for around human rights issues on Guam and in the Pacific. As we're both from Guam, We feel a very strong connection to the island. We had both finished our bachelor's and our master's on Guam. And while we were doing our master's degrees, we focused on human trafficking. We held a seminar, we had a lot of community outreach. And when we looked into it a decade later, we realized that a lot of the data we were finding was essentially the same. There hadn't been the large push to collect all of this data, to figure out where we were, to benchmark our progress. And so we decided that it was important for an organization to work in support of the community work that was already being done. There are amazing organizations on Guam right now that are doing meaningful work in the community. We want to support those organizations. What we want to do is to do the research and collect the data for them so that they can take that information and use it to apply for grants, to benchmark their progress, to facilitate collaborations that would be more beneficial to the community. We decided to start GHRI not as some sort of independent organization, but as a supportive organization, as a community invested organization.
Because there is limited scholarly research on different human rights issues, such as food insecurities, or combating human trafficking, or family violence. There's unique aspects about Guam and the islands in the Pacific that makes us unique comparatively to solutions and frameworks that have been utilized in other parts of the world. We are a melting pot of different cultures, and even our people and our location also impacts that. The military buildup also plays a factor in that as well. But I think it's so important that we talk about these issues and that we also put pen to paper and get ourselves published and get our work out there so that the rest of the world can really hear about some of the work that we are doing. And we are proud that we were able to publish a research article in 2022 regarding our conference on human trafficking in Guam and the Pacific. And we were able to just talk about some of the key issues and some of the limited resources that we have on island, but also more so about the key takeaways and some of the recommendations that some of the stakeholders had in a way forward, especially the victim advocacy groups and the grassroots organizations that are doing this work day in and day out. We realize that doing scholarly research can be a tedious task, but we are also up for the challenge, and we really are excited about working with the next generation of academics and scholars, especially our young people and our students who are growing up wanting to get involved and have that spark in them to continue to do more research. And they're hungry for it, and we want to be able to, through the Guam Human Rights Initiative, give them a platform to get published and have their voices heard. Our hope for the future is that we can have more published work to be able to empower, inspire, and create change in a positive way, create positive outcomes, and make real recommendations to policymakers, decision makers regarding human rights issues impacting Guam and the region. It's not enough to simply just stand on the corner with our signs, which over a decade ago, my co-founder, Dr. Erica Anderson, and I were on the street corner of Marine Corps Drive holding up signs with fellow University of Guam students saying it's happening to raise awareness about human trafficking. But fast forward a decade later, and it's still a prominent issue. So we're finding that just because we say it out loud and just because we want to start something, perhaps putting pen to paper is something that can really create to help start that conversation and create that change. Realize that this also takes funding and takes resources and support. And if folks in the US mainland or around the world are not aware of some of the issues that we are facing, how are they to know? And so we want to be able to write it down. We want to be able to get it pen to paper. We want to be able to get published. And we hope to create that change that is so needed regarding these different human rights issues. And human rights can be is a very broad term encompassing so many different aspects, so many different topics, and even the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the UN SDGs, has numerous different factors regarding the human rights issues and some of the gaps addressed, even just the Pacific as a whole and Southeast Asia being so close. But what we're really missing is that localized focus on Guam, on the Chamorro people, on Micronesians, looking at our culture and how the cultural aspect and growing up and living on an island and being from an island community where you know people, where you may be related to other people and to neighbor, and how that could impact why there may be a lack of reporting, why there may be limited resources. And these are tough conversations to have, but the frameworks that work in other parts of the world may or may not work for us in Guam. And so it's important that we do our research and we let the data drive some of those solutions so that hopefully is our hope that this data that we produce and the research and analysis that we come up with and the work that we do will not only empower the next gen to take part, but will also help those decision makers, policymakers see how critical it is that we solve some of these issues and what a lack of doing anything and a lack of a response could do for us to simply do nothing. And so we're really excited about joining with such organizations as the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence, and with our dear friends and team out in Guam and also in the US mainland and around the world who have joined GREE, or as we lovingly call ourselves, GRIT, the GREE team, in trying to find these solutions with real positive impact.
What distinguishes the Guam Human Rights Initiative's approach from others, I think, is this mentality of being a supportive role. We want to work alongside other organizations. We want to collaborate and grow alongside other organizations. But we recognize that a lot of the important work that needs to be done is being done by other organizations. We, in turn, want to support them. We want to do the work that helps create more opportunity, that helps facilitate more opportunity. We understand that neither of us can live on island at this point, but we have a very strong emotional ties to the island and to the region. And we want to remain connected and support the island and to support the area as best we can and to use the skills that we've developed over the last decade in support of the island. To do this, we can do research from off island, we can work with community organizations from off island, and more importantly, we can network on behalf of Guam. We can bring in expert speakers to events, we can find other organizations that are working in similar ways as to organizations on Guam, and we can try to facilitate meaningful collaborations. And I think that mentality of support and engagement sets GHRI apart.
One of the things that I love about the Guam Human Rights Initiative is our four-pillar approach, which is research, academia, advocacy, and stakeholder training. And one of the things that we have really done that I think we have done pretty well is the stakeholder training in the sense of getting out there, getting the right people in the room, and having a conversation. As much as we are about getting published and about getting the word out there and raising awareness, it's so important to get the right people in the room and to get those conversations going. And education awareness is so key. And at the Guam Human Rights Initiative, we've had such an incredible opportunity to be able to speak at places such as Brown University, University of North Carolina, Pembroke, being able to speak at Stanford at the Hoover Institute, and being able to talk about not just Guam, but again, the human rights issues that are impacting Guam, Micronesia, and the Pacific region. Because we know how important that part of the world is from an economic standpoint, from a national defense standpoint, but it's so much more than that. There are real people with real stories that need to be shared and heard. And so we love that we're able to get people together in the same room to talk about some of these issues that are fresh at front of mind, but being able to also identify a way forward together to find real solutions and find where those data points are, find what data is lacking, what research is needed, and having these hard conversations to then in turn hopefully find some real addressable solutions. The other piece is on academia and being able to mentor the next generation. Because as co-founders, Dr. Erica Anderson and I, and graduates of the University of Guam, would not be where we are today with the Guam Human Rights Initiative as an organization, as what we deem to be a growing organization without our mentors. And it has been such an honor and a privilege to be able to go back home, to go back to Guam and be able to share our skills and our talents, but also to see those up and rising students, those undergraduate and graduate level students who are excited and passionate about human rights and some of the issues that they want to raise and some of the issues that they are concerned about are valid concerns. They are timely concerns. And then they're not anything that's new, but they do have a fresh new perspective that needs to be heard. And being able to give them a platform, be able to guide them, to show them how Eric and I were able to pursue higher education and how we've been able to use scholarly research and how what doing data analysis is all about, and getting them excited about putting words to paper, being able to speak in front of others, and being able to share their story and why it's so important has been such an incredible opportunity for us, but also being able to give back has been so important. And for that, we are so grateful for our mentors back home on island. And again, we wouldn't be the Guam Human Rights Initiative that we are today without them.
I think the next steps for GHRI's impact are to focus more heavily on data dissemination, data collection, and data dissemination. What we want to do is to collect the data that needs to be collected around a variety of human rights issues on Guam, ranging from human trafficking to domestic abuse to economic abuse to environmental issues as human rights issues. In doing this research, we create opportunities for other organizations and for other individuals to be inspired, to take on these missions as their own, and to do the work that really needs to be done for Guam, for the Mariana Islands, for the Pacific, for all of it, and for all of us.